October 20, 2002. Not construction, a labor of love. There is a billboard on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, placed there by the Turnpike Commission, that says, "It's not construction, it's a labor of love." Does that mean that they love what they do? Not necessarily. I think modern America has a warped idea of work. Either work has to be fun, or at least it has to be tolerated so that we can get on to what is fun. A labor of love, not necessarily a labor that we love. What really makes a labor of love? Darwin proposed that it was when apes started to work that evolution took the giant step to bring humankind onto the earth. Genesis, the first book of the Bible, presents work as a punishment for sin. By the sweat of your face shall you get bread to eat. Jesus, on the other hand, tells us that what we do is a continuation of what God has done. What we do is only as effective as it is in cooperation and collaboration with what God did, does, and will do. What we do will be judged in light of how closely we work with God. A retreat director once told seminarians to distinguish between doing work for the Lord and doing the Lord's work. We can do our own thing for God, like building a private shrine, or we can direct our efforts to cooperating and collaborating with the work God wants done. Doing work for the Lord is nice, but does He not rather want us to do the Lord's work? Remember the rich young man of the Gospel who came up to Jesus and asked, "What work must I do to gain everlasting life?" And Jesus told him, "The commandments." But the man said, "But I want to do something more." Jesus told him, "Live in love, in trust, and dependence on God the Father. Do not be tied down by your own possessions, your own aspirations, your desire to be independent." God has entrusted His work to us. He trusts us even though we have not always been trustworthy. In other words, the work of creating the world is truly a labor of love. The work of redeeming the world is truly a labor of love. The work of sanctifying the world is truly a labor of love. And He has invited us to participate in that work. He reminds us, though, that when we start to think that we are solely responsible for the results, we are wrong. We must constantly keep Him before our eyes and remember that we are only helping the Master. If what we do is a labor of love, the reward will be love. If what we do is based on a love relationship with God, its results will be life, for the world, for others, and ourselves. Let us commit ourselves to do the Lord's work, and not just work for the Lord. Let's hear His voice and keep it. Let's be prepared to do our part and support each other as each one is called, and also in our common ministry. Our service to the church, to our families, to our society, indeed within the church, our families, our society, will truly be not construction, but a labor of love, the Lord's work, for God is love.